All right. Well, Anna, I want to welcome you to Real Feel Insights. I am very excited, and not only excited, but I think I'm really intrigued with the subject I think we're going to be talking about today. Horses.
Horses, my
Yeah.
favorite subject. One of my favorites.
One of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Just love horses.
I do.
Completely.
I do.
So.
I've been lucky enough to have them in my life for as long as I can remember. So, yeah, they've been a cornerstone of choices I've made, of places I've gone, of people I've met. A lot of it revolves around horses or something to do in that world. So, yeah.
Anna, how old are you?
I'm about to be 42.
42.
Couple
Okay.
weeks.
So your whole life, from a young child all the way through.
Yeah, I like to consider myself, pretty lucky for the circumstances that I came into. So my mom and dad were high school sweethearts. They dated in high school. He was from generational family farming. Like, we grew up on the farm that my great-grandfather
This is your
started,
dad?
My dad.
Okay.
And my mom, I call her a city kid, a town kid. And they got married, and one of the first things that she did when they moved to the farm is she got a horse. And so I always remember having a horse, and I do consider myself very lucky, blessed, whatever word goes around that. I always had something, sorry to interrupt you, I always had a companion out there kind of waiting for me.
Oh, that's how you viewed it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
I do. I am the second of four.
Second of four. So you had companions.
Oh, for sure.
You
Yeah.
had playmates. Why did you feel so strongly about that word companion is like, you are very close.
Right.
So horses, you just have been really drawn.
100%. So the why, why were they my companion? I think that, for me, to answer that question would be, man, horses can hear your biggest secrets. They can see you at your most undecided or your most tumultuous emotion. They are judgment-free. They are compassionate. They are curious. They take you for what you are without judgment. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but you used some words there that they can hear your greatest secrets.
Right.
You chose that word.
Yeah.
That phrase. What? Tell me about that.
I think all of us, myself included, we come from our families that, man, there's stuff in families. There's stuff in relationships. There's stuff that is within every industry or every family or every group, I guess is the best word to say. And I definitely came from my own set of circumstances with my own family. I have a very, what I would call, traditional family. Parents married and still married, been married for 30 plus years. 40, I should probably do my math a little bit better. Siblings, grandparents involved, things like that. My parents farmed through what I would call some crisis or really rough times in the 80s and the 90s. I'm really proud of where my family is today. We still live and operate our generational family farm, and made it through times where a lot of families didn't.
Okay.
A lot of families didn't survive those times. And so with that being said, there was tough times growing up.
I think the word, is it financially?
Oh, for sure.
That's that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you were a child, it wasn't maybe that you were poor because you had so much wealth around you,
Right.
farming.
Right.
But the finances, because of the 80s, there was short on
Times were
money.
tight, right?
Yeah.
Times were tight, and or just dollars counted, where we spent dollars counted, how that looked for raising a family. That counted, that mattered, and for sure there were things, there were opportunities around me because I was a farm kid. I had horses. How lucky, how fabulous was that? But yeah, there was stuff, family stuff.
Sure. So that's why you say that they can hear your secrets. That to me is so profound. When you say it, that choice of that phrase, do you talk to them just like they're another human being?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure, and still do.
Yeah. Do you feel that they can hear and understand?
I do. I feel that they can hear, they can understand, and they can really feel. Like, I believe that emotions have feeling or vibration. And I believe that horses are extremely receptive to those emotions, even when we don't know what they are. You know, I think back on myself as a child, and we smile now for sure, but I think back on my time when I would go to my horses and I was feeling upset or anxious or scared or mad or whatever it is. You know, think of little kids in your life. Maybe I wasn't able to articulate what I was actually feeling. I just felt unsettled or unwell or too big or too much or whatever. I feel like I could go to a horse, or you could go to a horse, and they don't shy away from that. Like, they're not like, oh my gosh, you're mad or you're sad, and so I don't want to be near you. In fact, I think it's opposite. Mad, sad, or confused or scared, and horses are like Velcro to that emotion because of that feeling. Yeah.
They embrace it.
I do believe that.
Wow.
Yeah. I think they embrace it. I think they're like Velcro to it. As I've developed my understanding around that or my belief system around that, I think horses are like, what would the word be? Like, they can tell when you are congruent or you are in awareness of what you're feeling. Like, let's say I am upset about something that has happened at work or it has happened with a friend, and I'm upset, and I'm maybe not able to articulate that, and I'm like, oh, it's fine, everything's fine,
Okay.
no big deal. I think then horses are like, are you sure that's true? Like, if you don't really have awareness to what you're feeling, or you're trying to make it smaller or bigger then maybe horses are not interested in that.
Okay. Okay. How do you know that?
I pay attention to how horses show up. You know, come closer to me, touch me, pay attention, or if they walk away or move away.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think we jumped into some really, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose
know.
this, because I think this is, I want to dig, actually, I want to go a little bit deeper
Good,
into that. Because that's really intriguing to me.
Good.
But I'm going to go back a little bit here. So you grew up on the farm, were raised through some really tough financial times.
Yeah.
It affected you. I'm
Yeah.
sure your parents and grandparents, did the grandparents live on the same farm?
So, great question. So, my dad and mom purchased my father's parents' home,
Okay.
which was his parents' home
Yep.
prior to, right?
Yep.
And my grandparents moved off the farm, but were close. So my paternal grandfather was there all the time,
Okay,
right? He was at the farm every day.
Because it was like coming home for him. I mean,
100%,
that was his
100%.
place too. How old were you born on that place?
I was 3 when we moved
Okay.
to the farm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
virtually your whole life,
for
your
sure.
childhood.
For
Okay.
sure. I don't remember not being there.
Okay. And you have one older sibling?
I have an older brother.
An older brother.
And he's just like 17, 18 months older than me, a younger brother, and then a younger sister. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you close with your younger sister?
Very close.
Very close
yes.
with her?
Mhm.
Okay.
We're 7 years apart. I always laugh because I don't have any children of my own. And I say it's because I got the perfect baby when I was right in the baby stage of being 7, right? And my parents brought home my own little baby. So,
okay.
yeah, very close to my sister.
Okay. Very special.
Yes.
So even during those financial struggles of your childhood, you still had close relationships with your brothers, your 2 brothers.
Oh, for sure.
Your sister, grandparents.
On both sides, yeah.
On both sides. That's a rarity,
It is very much so.
because I think, grandparents, people, we transplant all over the place. All of us do. And having grandparents close is such it's really very important. If the relationships are healthy, because
Yes.
sometimes, relationships are not. And it's just better to separate then. But if they are, and you have that close relationship, children having grandparents, I think it's just another boost of more love,
100%.
in your life. But with that being said, you had all of that, but there was still a crisis, a financial crisis growing up. And that's I think what I'm hearing you say is that's where you went to for your closest, you could release your emotions.
100%. And excuse me, when we talk about, financial crisis or what it was like farming when times are tough or at any time, that looks like, my parents would argue or my parents would have disagreement about where to spend money or how to spend money or things like that. When the seasons would change, when it was planting season or harvest season or whatever, there's always a season in farming. There is there's emotions that get big. There's opinions. There's procedures. There's ways of doing things. And I look at it now as an adult, looking at my parents. They're also, I'm sure, forging into a marriage. They got married at 21 and 20 years old and raised kids. And so there's all those dynamics going on. And so, yes, I agree with you. Very, very, it's interesting that word's coming up, kind of blessed, lucky experience to be raised in that close kind of family dynamic. But yeah, there's stuff, just interpersonal kind of stuff that happens.
Well, and farming too is, when you go to work, let's say you have to leave your home to go to work. When you come home, the biggest thing that they always talk about is leave work at work.
Right.
And then you can shift to being home and do your home things, put the hat on of being a wife
Right.
or a husband or, now I've got, now I'm, picked up the kids from daycare and now we're home here and it's a different hat.
Right.
When you're a farmer, there's no stop and start.
Right.
When you're a rancher, when you live on the farm, it's 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You don't have a stop and a start. So it kind of muddles in there sometimes and it blends all together. And your mom and dad, if they argued, where the money should go, it's just simply because they had one goal.
Right.
And each one had a thought on where to go with that, if there was any extra money or finances or what to do. So, I mean, that's just, that's inevitable. And a lot of people that work outside of the home don't realize that's part of a dynamic of a farm.
Right on. And that's interesting that you say that. And I think I just kind of skip over it because it's just how I was raised. The goal is to continue with the family farm, to financially support that. And both my parents worked off the farm in order to create that, ability to do that. And so as you were speaking, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even, consider that part of the story, that they both worked full time and farmed full time. Right, right.
Wow.
My dad was a welder. He had a welding shop in town. My mom, she's an entrepreneur of sorts too. She did daycare for a time. She did some management, and then she worked in corrections and different things like that. So my parents worked what I would be considered, so normal for people that farm because I lived it. They worked outside of the farm in order to afford to farm. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, and I've said this before here on Real Feel Insights and the many, many conversations I've had with people over the years, outside of this, just, friends and, friends of mine and things. Our childhood creates us.
Right.
If we like it or not, or
sure.
even identify it. Why do we do stuff? Why do we think this way or, I don't know. That's just the way mom did it.
That's just the way we did it.
That's just the way dad did it. I don't know. That's just what it is. So it's so normal. We don't know life anything, any different. Did you feel lonely? Because, to seek out horses,
Great
back
question.
to the conversation that we were talking about with horses, you really sought them out. Was it just because of the love of the animal, the beauty of the horse? Was that what it was? Or did you seek out the horse because you needed something? There was something
great question.
void.
I think both and. Definitely when you said, did you feel lonely? I'm like, did I feel lonely? I think that, yes, I could agree that was a feeling that that I have had or have lived with as a child. Being alone amongst a bunch of people definitely probably would describe how I felt. Yeah, I think that would make sense to me. I think, I don't know how I would describe myself if I would say artistic maybe, or think outside the box maybe, or a little bit different, or a person that sees, this probably describes it well, a person that sees a lot of gray. I don't see black, I don't see white. Does that make sense? I don't see 100% this way or 100% that way. I'm a person that sees a lot of kind of middle ground or understanding or gray area. And so I think that operating system has left me kind of feeling, well, I don't kind of fit in right here, and I don't kind of fit in right here, and I don't know where I am or who I am. What I do know is how I feel when I'm with a horse, right?
Okay.
They don't care if I see it this way or if I see it that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you this because before we flip the microphones on and the cameras on, you told me you train and you work with clients that have struggles
Yes.
using horses. So I just wanted to really find out where that came from. Did it just happen to show up and you just liked horses?
Right.
Or did it come from someplace way down, way back there?
Right.
And I think I'm kind of hearing maybe both.
Yeah, I think so
a little,
too.
Little bit
Yeah.
of both there. So I'm going to just kind of keep walking along here a little bit because I am super excited to find out how you utilize this great animal for healing for others. I want to get there, but I can't do that
Right.
yet. I got to just slow her down. I want to ask you. Okay, so we're what? Let's say we're in middle school. How are we? What are we doing here in middle school? Are you a popular kid? Are you content? Are things still really kind of financially
Yeah.
unstable yet at the farm? Where are you when you're like 16?
Right. Oh my gosh, 16. Well, I think I should back up a little bit
Okay.
in what it was like being raised on the farm and the
Okay.
different experiences that I had. So it was so great when I was 14 and 15 years old. I got to have this thing called a farmer's permit, right? So you got to drive.
Oh, right.
You got to drive before you were 16.
Yeah. Well, before probably most of the kids in your class,
100%,
too.
100%.
In your grade.
So I do very much remember. I remember those times in my life. My mom worked outside the home. She was away. She worked at her job, and we were at home. We were at home with myself, my siblings, my younger sister and brother. My grandpa was there kind of every day. At the time, gosh, and I don't remember how long this was, but my parents grew soybeans, and my grandpa would find migrant workers to come, and we would walk the beans. So we would walk the beans with hose and take care of all the weeds in the beans. So there'd be a group of people that came to the farm, right, and my siblings and us, and we would walk the beans. And I would never forget my grandpa. We'd be like halfway done with our morning kind of route, and he'd be like, "Well, Annie, I think you should head to the house and maybe make us a little lunch."
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'd head in and make lunch, and
Okay.
we'd eat as a crew and that kind of thing. But
Good memories.
good memories. But from a young age, I remember being able to drive,
Okay.
being able to take, don't tell anybody.
Okay,
but,
I won't tell anybody.
you're supposed to be doing farm-related things, of course.
oh, sure.
Of course,
With-
what you're supposed to be doing with your permit.
Right. Yeah.
Your farmer's permit.
Farmer's permit. Okay.
But I do remember from a very young age, 14, 15, 16, knowing how to drive a truck and trailer, and it gave me wheels. I was able to take my horses and go to horse shows or go do those types of things, go trail riding with people in the saddle club, things like that. So, yeah.
Okay. So that was a liberty,
Yes.
a luxury liberty type of thing that, and being young, that you got to do, and it was horses that opened that door up for
Right
you.
on.
So, okay, all right, yeah. So they were your friend, and you were their friend. So
Yes.
you got
yes.
to
got to go do things, and liberty's
Right.
really good. Yeah, that kind of got me out there and doing things and experiencing.
Okay.
Yeah, you asked, how did I get here? How did I get to doing this with horses? And I was thinking back on my family. In my family, it feels like there's just a handful of professions. There's farming as a profession. A lot of my family members are in law enforcement. A lot of the ladies or gals are in teaching, that kind of thing. And when I graduated high school, that's definitely the route that I went. I went to go and be a teacher. I didn't even consider that I could work in an industry with horses,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
My kind of focus was what was traditionally done in the family. And so these were kind of the options, right? Sure. So I went out to get my teaching degree, and I thought I was being so sly or so lucky. I found a way to take horses with me. And so when I went to school, I found a program that had rodeo there, just like a college sport. They had rodeo,
Okay.
right? And so I went to a college where I could take my horse with me
Oh my.
through that route. So
So you're going to college.
Yeah.
And still got to.
and still got to take the horses. And still it didn't dawn on me that that could be a career path of any kind or
Wow.
a,
Okay.
you know.
Were you happy to be a teacher, or did you feel like you had to be because that was kind of part of your family
It's so
heritage?
interesting. Yeah, so interesting. So I definitely felt like that was the track. Like that's the track that my grandmother took, my aunts, a couple aunts had taken, you know, this track to teaching. That felt like, probably looking back, like I should take that route. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy that dynamic. But similar to like what I talked about earlier, where like I wasn't here, I wasn't there, I was a super kind of in-betweener. That felt really familiar when I was working as a teacher. Like, man, I don't know if I totally am on board with this.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'm totally on board with this. I'm
Interesting.
somewhere in the middle here,
Okay,
right? Yeah,
okay.
like, ooh, who am I? Where am I? Do I fit in?
Is the word discontent?
Yeah, for sure.
Would that, when you use the word gray, does it, would just not content?
I think that's a great word. Like, man, I think my operating system was like, man, I was supposed to get here, get to this
Okay.
goal of teaching,
Okay.
and suddenly there I am with
Okay.
happiness and fulfillment and all those things. And instead I'm like, oh my gosh, who am I? Where am I?
There's the gray. That's what you were
Correct.
talking about.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So
Right.
just not really content. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to
Oh, no,
interrupt
it's
you. I just
great.
want that clarified because I want to be here with you. I want to understand it. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
teaching.
So I was teaching and got a really traditional teaching position, teaching second grade, taught kindergarten, things like that, and found myself in the middle of it going, is this kind of what I wanted? Is this making me jump out of bed in the morning and run to work? You know, am I super excited about that? And there was yeses and there was nos to that. For sure. For sure. So while I was in the midst of, I don't know if it was maybe my 5th or 6th year of teaching, I had a really, really good friend who was a counselor, the school counselor. And she was my gal at work who, you know, you'd grab a cup of coffee with and visit with and catch up with and how's your day going and here's how
Right.
my day is going, you
Yeah.
know, that kind of thing. Just my work person.
Yeah.
And she had told me, I believe, about a position within the field of mental health. And there was a position open that was looking for a person that could kind of be a liaison between kids that qualified for mental health services and the school.
Okay.
They were having some trouble coordinating those services. And so my friend told me about this position, was like, Anna, like, have you ever considered anything like this? And so I looked into it and found myself shifting from teaching or the traditional role of teaching into more of a, I believe I started under a position that was like around about the school, but with funding, it changed. But I moved into like a case manager position within a mental health field.
Okay.
So suddenly I found myself in this world where I had a background in education or human development dynamics, and then found myself learning all about mental health and different emotions and the impact of those emotions and school and services and all those different things. So, yeah, I found myself in that. A theme through all of this, whether it be school or work or whatever, was horses always.
I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
So we took this position. Are we getting any fulfillment yet? I mean, this, you know, I mean, what you're doing is probably helping people, I think.
Great question. Yeah.
Are you-
great awareness? I think, so the position within the mental health, you're
Right.
saying? Yeah, for sure. Definitely found myself again kind of in the gray area or in the in-between or in the, I can't remember what word you used for it.
Just not content.
Yeah, just not content. Like, I'm not quite here. I'm not quite there.
But
I'm in the middle.
But when you took that job, I mean, were you able to help people?
100%.
Okay. Did that fuel you?
Yes.
Did that make you jump out of
absolutely.
bed in the morning?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the teaching a second grader in a traditional setting, did that make you jump out of bed in the morning?
Yes, but also no. I think, I'm thinking of the little people that I had in my classroom at the time. I enjoyed different parts of that job, or of that employment or that position. I really enjoyed getting to know them. I enjoyed getting to know their parents. I enjoyed being a safe place. I enjoyed that type of thing. So definitely enjoyed the human dynamics
Right.
over make sure you know your A's, B's, C's, and D's, and make
Okay.
sure you know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
comes before E except
Yeah.
after whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the human kind of dynamic of it all.
And understanding the psychology.
Right.
You like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very
You
much
seem
so.
to. I don't know how I can pick up on this really.
You do really,
quickly.
really good.
Yeah, but I can. You just start glowing. You start shining when you talk about when you and horses are communicating, and you're explaining that to me. You just light up, and then you weren't lighting up so much about
Right.
the traditional classroom, but you started to light up just a little bit when you were talking about that you were able to be an impact. You were helping people
Right.
in that. I don't know if you want to call it counseling type of setting, but I mean, you were working that. You might not have had that degree,
Right.
but you were working in that direction, and you lit up.
Right.
It appears to me you really like to help people.
I do. And so it's so interesting. So we talked about the different career paths or different positions that I had. There was a time in my life where I thought that I was failing for sure when it came to
Failing to life, period.
no, excuse me, failing to what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to
okay.
be?
Ah,
I wouldn't have
interesting.
got a degree in education, and we'll just say it frankly, I don't know if I like it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then I made this shift into mental health services. I don't know if this is quite it. I don't know if I like it.
Okay.
And so I remember thinking, man, am I failing at this? Am I doing okay? Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm just going to tell you, I think all of us find
Yeah.
ourselves, everybody, any viewer that's listening to
Yeah.
this, I think we all at some point in time, if we were really truthful and honest to ourselves, and we're not just existing, we all kind of maybe do a little self-evaluation. And am I
Right.
really doing justice to the job that I go to every day?
Correct.
Am I actually genuinely happy? Is there more out there? Those feelings that come to us are there for a reason. We just have to listen to them.
Right.
So, I mean, you're doing exactly what I think we all do.
Right.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I remember a very specific time or a very specific relationship with a coworker of mine. It seems like if you have horses, there's somebody in your life that's like, oh my gosh, Anna, I need to come to your place and learn how to ride. There's, if you have a horse in your
okay,
backyard,
okay.
you're going to find somebody
Okay.
that's like, I got to come over every Tuesday night and learn how to
Okay.
ride. And so I had this coworker turned very, very, very dear friend, still a very dear friend. And she was my Tuesday night date forever, coming over to learn how to ride, right?
Okay.
And through this time in life, I remember my friend coming in to the barn, and our goal was to ride.
Okay.
But she'd come into the barn, and sometimes she'd come in, her hair would be on fire, right? I remember she was potty training her daughter at the time.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And there
Okay.
had been an incident that night where she
Okay.
thought she had her potty trained. It had been weeks and weeks and months,
Okay.
and oh my gosh, we had an accident.
Okay.
Or she'd come into the barn and her hair would be on fire because work was a mess. And
Okay.
there was a million things going on and not enough time to get it done.
Okay.
Or whatever life would throw at her, and there would just be stuff. And concurrently, there'd be stuff in my life going
Okay.
on, right? My hair would be on fire about whatever. Am I making the right choice? Do I like my job? Am
Sure.
I happy
Right,
here?
right.
All
Yeah,
those
yeah.
things. And I would feel like on those days where our hair was on fire, and she would show up to ride, and we sometimes wouldn't ride, but I always noticed the horses showed up no matter what. She'd come in, I'd come in, and the horses would just boom, kind of come to us. And so, Yeah.
Wow. So I think this is really cool.
Yes.
This is really cool what you just explained to me. I think I totally get it. It's like she wanted to come and you didn't even end up riding because you
Right.
had all these things. You call it hair on fire. I
Right,
like that.
right.
But you had all these things that were happening in your life and you needed an outlet to release it. So you two happened to end up being a release for each other.
Right.
I bet you look forward to every Tuesday.
Oh, for sure.
If you were going to ride or if you weren't.
Didn't matter if we rode or not,
Okay,
right? Like
okay.
just being around the horses, there was something that, man, I can be in the barn
Okay.
and clean stalls,
Yep.
having a hair on fire day, and clean stalls or be around the horses, and suddenly my hair isn't burning as bad as it
Oh
was
my
before,
gosh.
right?
So I think you started saying that this was a turning point. Is that
Yes,
is
this
that
is a huge turning point.
Okay.
So I think I was saying, man, here I was feeling like I flunked out of teaching. I don't know if teaching's right for me.
Okay.
I'm in the midst of working in the field of mental health. I don't know if I'm fitting in, if I'm doing it right, if I'm really meant to be here. My friend is coming over to ride horses, and I'm suddenly noticing my friend and my horse's interactions, right? And I'm noticing on the days where she's like, oh my gosh, everything is terrible, everything is horrible, and I don't know if I want to do this or whatever, the horses were just here. And I started asking myself questions like, I know how I feel when I'm around the horses. I know how I feel more regulated or better or more aware. Is that happening with my friend as well, right? So I started just paying attention.
Oh my word.
Right? Let's just say, for an example, she's mad. She's mad about something. Man, we think, or I thought prior to, if I'm mad, a horse or a dog or an animal is going to be afraid of me, and they're not going to be anywhere near me.
Okay.
What I'm learning, or what I learned, was when you're mad, horses take that as an emotion. They take that as a truth. They don't shy away from it. And in fact, they're drawn to it. Now, this is different than if you're mad at a particular horse. Does that make sense?
Right. No,
That's
your
a different energy.
Right. Yeah.
But let's say you're mad or sad or frustrated or glad or happy or whatever that emotion is. Again, horses are just really drawn to that. So I started noticing that with my friend who was coming over to ride horses. And I started asking kind of questions, is this really happening, right? Growing up in the world of horses, there's things that horses do and there's things that horses don't do, and there's rules and there's this and there's that. And this felt really like different than anything that I had learned or been taught before. But yet it felt very familiar to what I'd always known about horses.
I'm just going to, I always like to place, where are you at? How old are you when this
great
turning
question.
point happens? You're married. Are you married at this time? Okay.
Yep.
So a lot had happened. You had been teaching, you said, for 6 years, 5, 6 years, something
Yep.
like that. And then you had transitioned into the,
mental health field for another 4, 5, 6 years, somewhere in there. My gosh, I should get my dates.
well, no, I'm just kind of throwing this out for you. And so we're maybe, what are we at, 30? Right around there, we're married. And now you're starting to, because you're still feeling that, what you call gray area, or maybe a little not content.
Yes,
And
yes.
then, but now we're starting to see something.
Yes.
Okay, and we're right around that 30, 31
Yes,
age?
right around
Okay.
there. And what a time. So when I think back on my life, my husband and I we've been married now, I think, for 17 or 18 years. So we were married when I was 23. At the time, he was working construction. Now he has his own construction company, but he was working construction. We were farming at the time as well. We had a hay business.
Your own farm now.
Yep.
Okay, so you moved away from the farm that you grew up on, moved
Yes.
away three hours.
I should back up to that. You know,
Okay.
I mentioned earlier, like in my family, it felt like people were farmers, teachers,
Okay.
or police officers, right?
Okay.
Also, I grew up in this family, everyone lives really close to each other. Like, I'm the only one who, when I went to college, remember I went to college to get a teaching degree, which you could do anywhere. But I think my big thing is I wanted to take a horse with.
Oh, sure.
And so
Right.
the college that I chose was about 4 or 5 hours away from where I grew up.
Okay.
While I was there, very much involved in the horses, my husband was there and nothing happens without reason, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
Right? The college that was probably best fit for me and what I was looking for was really close to where I grew up, but it just didn't feel right. I ended up going to this other school. My husband went to that same school to play football.
Okay, so this is how you met your husband then?
Yes.
Okay, the college you went to was far away,
was
which
far
is
away.
a little untraditional for your
Very
family.
untraditional for my family. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But it was because the horses pulled you.
The
because
horses
they
pulled me there.
Okay.
Yep.
And then your husband now, he went there for football. So that's how you two met.
That's how we met.
I love
And
these stories.
I love it too, and I tease my husband a little bit. He's more of an introvert. I'm more an extrovert.
Okay.
And we were we were freshman orientation the
Sure.
week before school, and we were in a group together. Like a group of 20 together, and you were supposed to say your name and your major and where you're from, stuff like that. And so I said my name, my major, and I said where I was from. I said the name of the town. And my husband, this is what I laugh about, he usually doesn't say much about anything.
Because he's an introvert.
He's a big introvert, especially in a group. He's not going to say anything. And I said the name of my town, and we're sitting in the grass. And he goes, "Oh, I know where that is."
Okay.
And I was like, weird. Super, super weird.
Okay.
To the extent he doesn't say much, like confusedly, I thought his name was Matt for a long
Okay.
time. I called him Matt for like
Okay.
a month and a half. He
Okay.
never corrected me. Like he's
Okay.
like he's a very, very quiet person.
Right.
And so I laugh at that. But he ended up, went to college to play football and went to that school because he could take his horse with. And so we met also then because our horses were in the barn,
Oh, my
in a barn
word.
together. So
Okay.
that was super, super cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But, oh my gosh, I don't know where we were going with that story, but
That is super cool.
it's
that
super
really
cool.
is. Yeah, how you meet your spouse or
It's
how you
super
meet
cool.
and how I'm always in. That's why I love Real Feel Insights is because we
Right.
get to have an insight into some of these cool, things that happen to people in life, and if you don't say it, nobody knows about
Right,
it. It's
right.
super cool.
Right.
The things, the coincidences, or if you want to call them that. I call it. I'm a Christian, so
Yeah.
I always know that there's a greater power in my life,
100%.
in our life, and he'll nudge us to go that direction,
Right.
or maybe we'll go completely this way, and then we're like, oh, nope, the wrong way, got to go back that way. Yeah,
know,
so
I know.
so I love. Thanks for sharing that.
So that's how I think ended up, I went to school. I don't know that I was always intending to never move home or anything like
Okay.
that. But I met my husband who
Okay.
was from this, this area that we live in now. So that's
Okay.
kind of my connection to here. But yeah, so at the time, he was working construction. We had a hay farm, so
Okay.
we produced a lot of alfalfa or horse quality
Sure,
hay.
right, yeah.
He had that business going from when he was a teenager, and
wow.
when we married, I started that
Yeah,
with him,
yeah.
or started doing that with him. So yeah, at the time we were young, young 30s, late 20s. I look back on that time in our lives, and we were doing it. We had a mortgage, we had vehicle payments, we
Yeah.
had those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Money wasn't. We didn't have lots and lots of money to
Yeah.
make decisions at this time when things are going on with my friend, and I'm noticing horses and her and what's going on.
Yes.
I remember saying to my husband, like, man, I feel like there is something happening here with horses, with healing, with people. And I think I kind of want to explore that. I kind of want to take a look at that. I didn't know where that was going to lead me, but it felt really, really right. Yeah, so.
Wow. So that's how it's started. We haven't really got to our viewers
what
still
it
don't
is.
know.
Right, what
Yeah,
is
yep.
it?
We're gonna. Yep. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you identifying that and catching that
Mm-hmm.
and now are we starting to feel a little light instead of that gray feeling?
Oh.
I mean, are we getting some
Right.
strong feelings of like
100%. So like
Okay.
I mentioned earlier, like,
Okay.
my goodness, I went to school, put a lot of time and energy and effort into a degree, got into that profession and went, oh my gosh, what did I do, right? Made a shift into the mental health field. Same, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite it. It wasn't quite right. Now when I look back at my time, I go, wow, I'm so glad I have a background in family dynamics, in education, and how the brain works. And I have a very good understanding of emotions and services and mental health services and insurance and all that kind of thing. Now it totally makes sense why my background was that way.
Wow.
When I was in it, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong, right? Why am I not fitting in? Which, like we talked about earlier, has kind of been a theme in life. You know, why am I not fitting in? But yeah, so at this time, my friend's coming over to learn how to ride. I'm convinced it was actually to help me see my horses kind of fully through somebody else's experience, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So my dear husband at the time, like I said, we were in our late 20s making a go of it. And I said to him, gosh, I really think this is something. I really think I want to explore this a little bit more. I've looked at a couple graduate programs that are about horses and healing in like a traditional kind of mental health path. I don't think it's quite right, but I think I want to create something. I think I want to do something. And I remember saying to him, and I think I should quit my job and kind of go after this. And I teased him a little bit, but he looked at me and he said, okay. And I kind of am like, what position were we in for one of us to do that? But he has been a great supporter and a good understander, and must have seen the passion or felt it like I maybe did then. But I started finding people that thought the same way that I thought about horses, or felt the same way that I felt about horses, or were noticing that horses were more than or beyond a vehicle of riding or doing or using. Does that make sense? So I started seeking other people that were also in that mindset, and combined my understanding of my background of education and started creating opportunity to try that. Yeah.
To try using a horse for instead of using them to ride,
Right.
using them to emotionally connect.
Correct.
Is that what I think I'm hearing
Correct.
you say?
Yes. So really looking at, I guess I would call it like essential gifts, or what horses truly offer us besides. I mean, it's fabulous to get on the back of a horse and go on an adventure, whether it be through a field or through a ditch or up a mountain or on an elk hunt. Like, to take a horse and go do something that is wonderful.
Wow.
And it's not the only thing that they offer humans, right?
Okay.
So yeah, exploring why are horses connected to me when I'm having a bad day, or I'm feeling like I'm in the in-between, or I feel I don't belong, or I'm frustrated with kids or marriage or family or whatever. Why are horses even interested in that? Yeah, kind of answering that question.
Yeah, okay. They're interested in not just the service of what we think.
Correct.
They're in a service of the mental service for you too.
Right on.
And you're tapping into that, and you know that there's a need for that.
Right. Oh, this is important. So we talked about my grandpa that had passed away, my grandpa that had been on the farm with us. At this same time he passed away. His name was Leroy. And man, I went through some grief after he passed, and thinking about things that I wish I would have said or did, or, all the things that happen when a life event like that happens. I remember thinking at that time, because at that time I was still working in the medical model of mental health, I felt like there was very limited access for me to explore that, right? The path for me to get help, or for me to have somebody guide me or walk through that, or help me see what I couldn't see, or break through some emotions, I felt really limited on how I could get access to that. I felt very normal going through the grief process, although I didn't feel like I had anywhere to turn or where to go. Like, my bias towards the mental health, my personal bias is, we all experience anxiety, we all experience depression, we all experience uncertainty, we all experience all the things. And I felt like unless your anxiety or your depression or your grief was so big that it kept you from life, you couldn't access services. Does that make more sense?
Now I've got you. Now I got it.
Yeah. So I remember being in the midst of that. You know, I'm working, I'm married, I'm living a very functional life. And I felt really limited as to who do I go to besides my best friend or my spouse to talk about my feelings?
Okay.
Or how do I even process any
Sure.
of this? So that was going on at the time. And so I remember saying to my husband, like, I feel like there's an opportunity here for what I called everyday, average people to explore their emotional health in a way that wasn't so clinical or so medical model or included so many barriers to get to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar, and again, this is a bias and people have opinions and this is mine. I feel like if I get to a place where I want to go see somebody in the medical model for therapy, I have to go through a lot of different appointments and a lot of different things in order to sit with somebody to visit, right? I just feel like there are some barriers there for people who are not experiencing the emotions where they're so big and so overpowering that they're getting in the way of every life. Like, for each of us that goes through, we all experience loss. We all experience uncertainty. We all experience anxiety. We all experience depression. When we're at a level of those things that doesn't impact us outwardly, where do we go? What do we do?
You're identifying it now that you're putting, I mean, there's more to the horses than what you're even thinking
100%.
they're offering.
There's more to the horses that I had ever considered, that horsemen or horse people have considered. There's just so much more, and I'm seeing evidence of it through my friend that was coming for lessons, or through whatever I was experiencing. I'm noticing horses show up. Another clear example, I will just never forget this. During this time, same time period, so I hadn't left anything. I hadn't started anything yet. I was still working in what I called my traditional employment time. So at the same time, my husband and I sold our house, and we wanted to buy a different property.
Okay.
So we sold our home, and the sale, it was kind of one of these things that it sounds so good at the time, but it was like, it put us in kind of a little bit of a predicament. So we were going to buy a property from somebody who wanted to, we were going to do like a contract for deed type of thing.
Okay.
Like, we were going to buy the property, but it was going to be 6 months or 8 months before they were going to officially move, that type of thing.
Okay.
And so we wanted to just drop some paperwork for that party and us, just to make sure that we were all on the same page. And so we went into a realtor's office and we started doing this paperwork. And with the thought that maybe 6 months to even a year from now, we'll put our property for sale. Well, our realtor said to us, "Oh my gosh, tell me about your property." "Oh, I got the perfect person for it." And we were like, "Okay, yeah, maybe, right? Like,
Right,
maybe
sure.
this will work out." And she said, "No, I'm serious. Can I show my client your home? I've been looking for this exact home forever." And she wanted to come over, on Wednesday to look at this property, and it was Monday. And I was like, "Well, I need a couple days at least if somebody's going to come look through my house and open I don't know if you've ever looked at a house, but I always open the drawers, right? And look at everything.
Right.
And I wanted a couple days at least to organize my drawers and different things like that. And so the gal came over on Friday and purchased the home, and she purchased it, and she wanted in like right away. And so she bought our home, and we moved out of it within 30 days.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was happening at this time, which was wonderful.
Okay.
And
Where'd you move to?
Well, this was an interesting thing. So we suddenly found ourselves needing a place to live.
Yeah, you're homeless.
Real quickly, homeless. And we weren't going to get into our property for several months. And so we ended up, we exhausted every rental opportunity we could, and there was just nothing that we could rent, that we could afford. Plus, we had horses, right, and some dogs and different things like that. So we ended up living in a family member's basement
Okay.
for the interim.
Sure.
And I kept my horses, like I boarded them. I kept them somewhere, a place that didn't belong to me. So I would go to visit them, right? And so this was all happening.
Wow.
And I remember there was a person at the barn that I just didn't really want to see. Right? I didn't really want to be around.
Sure.
And I just remember like, oh, man, if they're going to show up, I'm going to try to be somewhere else.
Where you're boarding your horses at. Okay.
Where the
Okay.
horses were staying.
Okay.
And so in hindsight, again, I remember, like, I look back and I was like, oh yeah, I was always waiting for this person to kind of like walk in, right? During that time, with my horses, when that was going on, they didn't want to be anywhere near me. I would show up to the barn, I would go to the pasture and try to go catch them, and they would just be like, poof, gone.
Wow.
And I remember being like very, very frustrated, like, what is going on with my horses?
Right.
Why are they suddenly, I'm
Right.
not able to catch them?
Right.
They seem very uncomfortable.
Right.
I remember I had a horse named Cheeks at the time, and I would reach up to touch Cheeks' neck, and he'd just be like, just like this. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't know how this came into awareness, if somebody said something to me or I said something to a friend. I don't know how it happened. But suddenly I became aware of like, oh, well, every time I go and see my horses, I'm like, when is this person going to sneak up on me, right?
Oh.
And so my horses were like kind of mirroring that same thing,
Wow.
right? They didn't really want to be around me. They didn't want to be near me. So that was going on. And suddenly I had that awareness of like, wait a second, how I show up emotionally, even though it has nothing to do with my horses at all,
Right.
they're reading this or they're
Wow.
paying
Okay,
attention to it
sure.
or it's
Yeah, yeah.
impacting my experience with them.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was going on. Like I said, I was noticing barriers within the medical model of mental health for regular, everyday women. I'll just identify myself as a woman to get any type of services to walk through with me anything that I was going on in my life. You know, I talked about the death of my grandfather. I felt like I didn't have anywhere to turn or go through without going through a bunch of hoops to get there. There were just barriers to services, barriers to understanding. Of course, there are biases or stigmas around emotional health and emotional health. And frankly, kind of a lack of understanding, like how do we do this? How do we human? How do we walk through life events and come through the other side feeling authentic or feeling whole, right? Like I just felt like there was so much stuff in the way for a regular everyday person like me to gain emotional competency or to gain emotional awareness. So that was all going on at the same time. So I'm seeing my horses in even more clarity to them showing up for me no matter what I'm walking through or how I'm walking through it. I'm noticing them showing up for people in my life. I'm noticing them not being afraid of or ignoring emotions, but instead being drawn toward them. Like I mentioned, that we were going through the ups and downs of life. We had this beautiful thing happen where we sold our home and we're walking into another one, but it didn't come without consequence. It didn't come without strife or hard, right? So all these things were going on, and I remember saying to my husband, who very much the introvert, I'm very much the extrovert, which means, you know, if I'm thinking about something, I'm going to process it out loud. To me, that's what extrovert truly means. It's about processing. We're going to talk it out. And maybe I'm going to talk about 14 different options before I finally settle on the one, right?
And he's going to listen.
And he's going to listen because he's this beautiful introvert. Yes, great catch. It's so true. And he's going to listen. And I say to him this really outlandish thing. You know, I say, gosh, I think I want to quit my stable profession, quit my job, my job.
Yep.
I want to pursue horses and healing and wellness and emotional health, and figure out what that is, even though I don't know what it is yet and how it's going to look. And I think I need to build a barn and do all this kind of stuff. And I remember looking back now, I look at that conversation, and he looked at me and said, okay, let's do it. And I tease him now. I'm like, what were you thinking? He's just saying yes blindly. But he did. I had massive support in trying to figure out what it is, what it looks like. How do I even take that big, great, grand idea or thought and turn it into something?
So I just want to summarize a few things. So we lost our grandpa.
Yeah.
Sold our house. We're virtually homeless.
Yep.
You're boarding your horses.
Yep.
There's an individual that you don't want to see there.
Yep.
So you're locking up. Your horses feel this. They're doing the same
Great.
thing.
Yeah.
You're identifying all of this. And in that duration, how long does that duration last?
Oh, my goodness.
4 months?
No.
A year?
A little bit longer. I'd say for sure a year, 2 years, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Oh, do you mean the duration of where we're homeless?
When you're homeless?
6 months.
6 months? Okay. And then you have this, is it a sudden grand idea, or is it like one day you have this, you're identifying it, and then maybe like 3 or 4 days later you're like, I think they're sensing. What if I would ever do this? Did it come like that, like overnight,
That's
or did
what I
it come
think
about
took
2 weeks?
the couple of years. I think it took me to like gain the,
Okay.
the evidence of what I'm seeing with the horses, what
Okay.
I'm seeing with people.
So
It
you
took
had
me
this
some time.
idea.
And then the idea was, because I was working in mental health, I started looking at graduate programs. Like, there's got to be some program out there that combines mental health or medical model of mental health and horses. There's got to be. I'm a big believer that we are our own best advocate, our own best healer. We know what trail we should take. We know who we should take along with us. Like, we are, we need to be the captains of our
Right.
of our journey, right? Like, we need to lead the way. And one of my critiques or biases against some of the medical model of mental health is we have a therapist or a person in a position kind of giving examples of what a person should do or shouldn't do. Does that make sense? Or kind of like a hierarchy. And so I saw some of that in the horse programs, and that didn't quite sit with me right either. And so, yeah, I was looking at all these and saying, nope, that's not quite it, that's not quite it. And so then I had this idea. What if it looked different? What if we developed a partnership with horses, with people? What if we walked through journeys together? Does that make sense? So it started kind of forming, the idea forming, and I looked at the barriers or things that I needed. In the Midwest where we live, we have stable weather not very often, right? We
Right.
we more
Right.
likely have unstable or uncertainty in our weather, and so I knew I was going to need some type of an indoor facility or some type of a way to get people and horses together without freezing fingers and toes and things like that. And so I looked at my husband, I said, man, this is what I think we need to do. And he said, okay, let's make it happen.
Sure.
So
we're talking about like a large like arena type of a
Yes,
setting.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, he's in construction.
yes, yep.
You just had to get that out of your head and lay it out so he could see it, so he could build it.
100%.
Okay. And he was on board.
He was on board,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And so I think I mentioned earlier, I started kind of gaining bits and pieces. I started finding mentors who believed some of the things that I believed, who had some practices that went along with what I did. I jumped headfirst into a program around horses and healing that allowed me to learn from somebody of how to do some of her techniques, and at the same time do some of what I call my personal work. So I mentioned to you earlier, my grandfather had passed away when I was in my I was 30. I remember saying, I'm 30 years old and all four of my grandparents are living. That is amazing, right? So around that time, my grandfather passed away. I jumped into this ladies program and I was able to do my personal work around that grief and loss.
When you say you jumped into this ladies program.
Yes,
Okay.
she was one of the mentors that I had found.
Okay.
Yes.
Utilizing a horse in the healing of
Yes,
grief, that
yes.
process, you jumped in. So there was some models for you to somewhat
Yes.
get ideas of what worked and what didn't work.
100%.
Okay.
Yes. So I found models and became students of, sought mentors to teach me some of the things that they had developed or learned, and
Okay.
took pieces that made sense to me.
Okay.
Left pieces that didn't.
Okay.
Added things of my own, things like that.
Okay. So the purpose during this time now, what you're developing, explain it to me.
Great. So I think at this time, what I thought I was developing shifted a little bit, changed a little bit. Remember, my background was with children, really children and families, teaching, and then in the mental health side of things. And so I thought I was out there to create a program for children. That's what I thought I was doing. One of the mentors that I worked with, I went through a certification program with her that took about 2 years.
Okay.
And I stayed working during this time. When I went through her program, that's where I got this chance to do my personal work, to explore my own emotional health and wellness, to explore the events that shaped and seasoned my life. You know, we've mentioned now several times the loss of my grandfather, how I deal or don't deal, avoid conflict, right? Learned that from my family of origin for sure. A host of other things I got to personally work on while in her program. Really, really felt empowered and had a lot of clarity and authenticity. Felt very normal for one of kind of the first times.
So when you're saying normal,
Yeah.
are you, there's a purpose, you're getting excited, there's clarity,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Is that what I'm
Yes.
hearing?
I'm starting to see where I fit in instead of where I fit out. I think for a long time I felt where I didn't quite fit. I wasn't A, I wasn't B, I was somewhere in the middle. And I think for the first time I started going, okay, I get it, I see it, I feel it. Yeah.
It's just really been really quite interesting. I'm thinking about myself, but then also viewers that are listening to this, and they just bought some property, or they just quit their job because of whatever reason, and they're trying to figure out something. I mean, and we're all like, oh, well, what do we know? Where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do?
Right.
Sometimes just slow down.
Right.
Just breathe and just feel it.
100%.
I mean, you thought you were going to start into training and using the horse.
Yep.
For children.
Right.
Maybe you were tweaking in that 2-year course of what you wanted, and you were getting that clarity, but you were being patient.
Yes.
Your eyes were wide open.
Yes.
You were you were vulnerable. My goodness. I mean,
And I think what you're describing is what I believe emotional wellness is. I came into all of this prior to thinking, traditional therapy or medical model therapy is me sitting and visiting with somebody and learning techniques on how to reduce my anxiety or whatever it may be. And those are all fabulous and needed. Also, there's this big piece of emotional wellness that is about everyday stuff. Buying or selling a property, getting married or getting divorced, having a child or not, having the loss of a grandparent or a pet, right? All of those things, what do we do with them? How do we work through them? What does the other side look like? Who do I go to besides my best friend who love her, but she's going to put her own spin on things? Or my sister, same thing, love her, but she's going to give me some advice or whatever. how do I find my path and my way through it? So I suddenly got to experience what I had been kind of seeking.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Clarity.
Yeah.
That's the only word that's coming to
Clarity.
my mind.
Yeah.
Is you're getting clarity in lots of different things in your life. I mean, your job.
Right.
I mean, now I have a feeling you're going to be quitting your job.
Oh, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, for
Okay,
sure.
because-
for sure.
yeah.
And quitting it in a way that I don't feel like I'm failing anymore. Does that make sense?
Right,
Like
sure.
suddenly I'm going, holy cats, I see it coming. I see what I'm going to do and where I'm going to head. I see why I have some of the stuff in my background. In fact, I don't know. I've never been a person who's afraid of the word fail, because well, that's not true. I guess I just said I was afraid of failing, but failure truly is an opportunity to have some discernment. Where do I need to go from
Right,
here?
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so suddenly I'm looking back at my work experience, going, oh, I had to do this in order to learn this.
It all made sense.
I had to do this in order to feel into this, right? Like,
Sure.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
all just making
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So now we're through that 2-year
Yeah,
course.
we're
We've
through
got
the 2 years,
clarity.
got some clarity.
Where are we at?
I think I mentioned to you when I first started this big, great, grand idea, and I got my husband on board. I had told him I'm going to make a program for kids. That's kind of what I'm after. As I started doing my own personal work, looking at my life, looking at my stuff, I realized, I think through it all, that if I wanted to make a difference, which that's one of my big value systems, making a difference, right? If I wanted to make a difference for the lives of kids, the best thing I could do is make a difference for parents, right? Because they have the ultimate kind of ability to shift that for a kid, right?
Right.
So I changed some things. I started looking toward working with adults, working with people in order to make that difference. And so now about this time, I finished the program with this lady. I had done some other mentorships. I had brought in some traditional horse training type of techniques and found my own way kind of through those things. And got ready to go out on my own and quit my job and become self-employed and hang my shingle out and say, oh my gosh, does anybody else feel like I feel like there's something for you? So yeah, that's
So this big, great, grand scheme,
Right.
you just put your childhood, all those experiences, your education experience. In the meantime, you met your husband at the college.
Yep.
And he was the introvert, you were
Yep.
the extrovert, and then you lost your grandfather, and how that all combined, and you finally are seeing some clarity, and
Yes.
you know that you are going to make a purpose.
Yes.
Make a difference
yes,
in your life.
yes. And
Wow.
I guess so when I finally said, yep, I'm ready to bring kind of this idea, bring this modality, if you want to call it, into the world. I want to hang my shingle, right? I try this out. What I did was I sought out 5 or 6 very different types of people or clients. I sought out a professional working in, I believe she worked in like child protection. And I sought out a child that was in child protection. I sought out a teacher, I believe. I had a business owner, a man, come. And I had a farmer's, like a wife, a spouse, a lady come that they farmed. So I had these 5 or 6 different clients come out, and I got them in a horse in the arena singly at a time, and we, what I call, did some work, right? Maybe asked them a question, or they had some motivation for taking a look at themselves or whatever. And through that process of those 5 or 6 different clients or different types of people, I found out, who was I interested in sharing this with? Who got it? I paid attention to myself. What got me jumping out of bed and running to share this with people? Like, what type of person? And learned a lot. Today, I work primarily with women, mostly with women. Whether you have a horse in your life or you don't is not a requirement for me. But I do love working with people that do have horses, because I remember very specifically for me, you remember when I told you that story of, like, I was afraid somebody was going to come in the barn and my horses were reacting. I love hearing other stories from people with their own horses and what they notice about themselves. I really enjoy working with young teenagers, like 14, 15, 16, that age.
And they don't have to have a horse, or they can.
Or they can, yeah,
Okay.
either
And
which
so,
way.
so they come to you and they're struggling with some sort of an emotion.
Yes.
It could be grief. It could be anxiety.
Could be anything.
It could be anything. Just teenage, right away, I'm thinking of, like, I mean, that's some struggling years in there. You're
Absolutely.
struggling with your parents. You're
Yep.
just struggling with yourself. Where do you fit in? Who am I?
Yes.
What purpose? I mean, those are just common questions teenagers ask.
Correct.
Themselves, and what I did too, like, who am I? What am I here for? And things like
Right.
that. So then you get to use your horse and then bring out those emotions
Yes.
through your horse,
Yes.
and the healing process of what they're struggling with.
Yes.
Is that
yes?
okay?
So
Okay.
again, you heard me mention I'm a big believer that you know exactly what trail you should pick or you should go down, and you have within your saddlebags whatever you need to help you on that trail. And so I truly believe that process. And so I could have a host of different reasons why people would be interested in looking at work with a horse. Typically, let's just say it's somebody trying to make a decision. What do I do now? Where do I go next?
Sure.
We do some things with the horses. We go to the arena. The horses show up. I do not. Let me start this over. I believe that the work that I do with people, we are all on a level playing field, with the horse included.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Let's say it's Sarah, you, me, and a horse in
Okay.
the arena.
Okay.
Not one of us is above or below the other, right?
Right.
We're all on this kind of
Right.
journey together. And maybe today on this journey, we're working on a decision that you have to make.
Okay.
Should I put my Christmas tree up in November
Sure.
or not?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
It is.
Yeah.
And the horses and I set up an experience for you to figure out the answers that are right for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
To some
So
degree.
let's just use your example.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? How are you going to set that up for me and the horse?
Great.
I'm struggling with.
Great question.
Okay.
So again, to go forward, I need to go backwards a little bit. Let's say, and we'll just say it again because for ease, it's a decision that you're making. And those decisions can be small, like I joked about the Christmas tree, or they could be huge. Should I quit my job? Should I get divorced?
Okay.
Should I whatever,
Okay.
right? Whatever that decision may be, I don't have the answer for you. My horse isn't going to tell you what the answer is.
Okay.
But together, we're going to find what works for you.
Okay.
So if you're coming to my place to work on a decision, the first thing that we're going to talk about is what parts of you say yes to this decision.
Oh, okay.
And what parts of you say no.
Okay.
And we're going to dive into that.
Okay.
I don't know if you're like me. If you're working on making a decision, I can be in the shower washing my hair, and all of a sudden I'm hearing the yes person say this, and
Sure.
I'm hearing the no
Okay.
person say
Okay.
this. Does this
Okay.
happen to you?
Okay.
Like you're having this internal dialogue
Sure.
of like,
Yep.
well, if I say yes to this is what's going to
Right.
happen.
Yeah, you're just processing it.
Right. If you say
Yeah.
no, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you do this internal processing
Right.
already. We're going to pull that internal process out loud. So we're going to do it out loud. I'm going to have you stand as the person who says yes to it, and then I'm going to have you stand as the person that says no to it. And then we're going to basically have a conversation between the two of them and come to your answers.
Between the two of who?
The two of you, the one that says
Oh,
yes,
okay.
and the one that you says
Okay.
no.
Where's the horse in this?
So the
Okay.
horse in this is on what I call free liberty.
Okay.
So I have a big area. It's like an 80 by 80 area. And the horse is contained in that area, but he or she has choice as to where they want to go if they want to be a part of this. And I don't know what the percentage of it is, but it's a high percentage. Horses are very interested as soon as you have clarity on whatever your emotion is. So let's say it's a I'm going to quit my job. And the parts of you in you, like in your personal mandala, that say yes, like, yes, I'm going to quit my job because of this. And here's all the reasons I list, right? Like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not happy at my work. I don't love what I'm doing. I have an opportunity to do something else. You know, whatever your yeses are. Once we get to the emotions of those yeses, horses are like, they come physically close to you, right? Same with the no side. Let's say it's the same decision. Am I going to quit my job?
Wow.
The no side is maybe saying, are you crazy?
Okay.
What are you going to do for money? How are you going to pay your
Okay.
mortgage, right?
Okay.
You can't be a person that doesn't work.
Right.
What about the new car that you just bought? Who's going to make that payment?
Right.
Like you can hear that internal dialogue,
Okay.
right? Same thing. When we get to the real emotions of what the no's are about,
Right.
horses are very much drawn to that, very much show up for that.
Right.
And then we go through a process where we have this, honestly, this internal dialogue that you're having, we have it out loud in the presence of a horse, and we start to hear what maybe your really deep-rooted fears are,
Okay.
or your really deep-rooted joys are, or excitements are, or possibilities are. We start drawing all that out. By the end of it, you'll come up with your decision, whatever that may be. The horses, when they're drawn to the real emotion of it, the raw emotion. Like maybe one of the raw emotions is you could lose everything. You could lose your home, right? You may also say something that is limiting or not true. It could be something like, oh my gosh, Aunt Karen could hear about this and she could just think you're the worst. You know, I don't know,
Right.
something
I
ridiculous,
understand.
right? The horse, when they hear things that are just limiting or not true, they disengage and they don't come around.
Okay.
It's hard to describe this. As I'm realizing it's hard to
No,
describe
I'm
it.
getting
You're
it.
getting it?
I'm
Perfect.
getting it.
So,
I'm not a horse person at all.
Right.
I'm not. But I kind of want to get a horse.
I know, I
because
know.
I want a friend that can just kind of like,
Right.
back up and come in, back up and come
Right.
in. I think that's what, you were
That is
100%.
a great way to describe it. Like, the friends that we want to be with, at least me personally, are the friends that hold space for you when you're going through a hard time. They listen to you, they hear you, they're there with you. They don't try to fix anything. They don't try to minimize anything. You know, a friend that holds space for you doesn't change anything about your situation. She just sees you, right? That's what a horse does. They don't try to change it. They don't try to fix it. They don't try to make you less than or more than.
Right.
They're there.
That is so cool.
That is so cool. You came up with that one, Sarah.
That is just so cool. I just have never.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what you did is you merged your worlds. I think
Yes.
because you just love horses.
I do.
I mean, you get so excited about it from little on.
Yes.
I mean, that has brought you so much. Completion.
You bet.
And then you have, like you said, you needed your education, and now you just merged. You just merged those two worlds
Right.
together, and that completed you.
Right. And I'm a traditionalist horseman too. Like, I enjoy riding,
Right.
and barrel
Right,
racing,
right.
and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's such a gift that horses give us to be able to go do that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they offer this
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah.
tapping into attunement
Wow.
thing that is
Yeah.
just incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is super cool. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And how long have you been doing this?
I took my my little core group of sample people, I think in 2016. And so now what is that, about 9 years? So I still enjoy learning. I enjoy moving. I enjoy doing. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy making a difference. I enjoy my own personal path towards my own health and wellness. I think it's extremely important. I do have this belief system that who am I to sit next to somebody professionally who's going through something if I haven't done my own work, right? That's a really, really important for me. I enjoy now having horses, and I say traditional horsemanship things, like the competition side of horses or the pleasure riding side of horses, or the horsemanship side. I enjoy doing that, training others how to work with horses, and including the mechanics of it, like the mechanics of, this is how you hold your hand, and this is how you put your foot, and this is how you put a saddle on it. And also paying very big awareness to what you have going on in here makes a difference with what's going on with your horse, right? So like, if you have stuff up, if you have things up, if you have unfinished business, if you have trials and tribulations that you're going through that are showing up, that is impacting your relationship with your horse. So I enjoy teaching that and doing that.
Yeah. That is, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Do you have clarity? Are you 100% that you're
100%.
doing exactly what you were created for?
100% doing what I'm created
my
for,
God.
without a doubt in my mind.
Wow.
Without a doubt in my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, I want to reiterate the deep gratitude I have for having the role of teacher, having the role as mental health professional. Those roles were extremely important to me and gave me a ton of clarity on where my perspectives, gifts, understandings, values, where those could be needed, right? For myself and for others, right? But I look back on that time in my life, especially the second grade teacher me, the one who was in it, was 5, 6, 7 years into it, making a decision, am I happy? Do I move? Do I not move? And I think back on, what if I would have stayed? What if I would have stayed in that where it wasn't fulfilling me, or it wasn't what I was meant to do, or it wasn't all of what I was meant to do? I look back on the bravery of choice, or the ability to shift gears, right? And I have a lot of gratitude to that, that I did that. So,
Well, you should, as you should. I just, you walking us through here and all these things, I think you started out with saying, it was gray and you knew, but you always were feeling. You always were feeling what was
right.
all the way through, and you acted on that. And a lot of times people, they don't.
Correct.
Because they don't know what to do, so they just don't do anything, or they're scared, and they don't know where to do that. So yes, I would definitely use that word brave when I think about you stepping out, and you kept pursuing. You kept pursuing until you had clarity, however long that took, whatever doors opened and closed and shut,
Right.
and different things, and you kept pursuing that. So I think that in and of itself for you, Anna, is super cool.
Thank you.
To see and to witness as we walk through this. I don't think that I'm going to get a horse. I would love
Come
to
and see
get a
mine.
well, I would love to get a horse. I just might have to do that, because I don't know, if you don't grow up with it, I think you're maybe a little bit frightened. They're a very
Yes.
large animal.
Yes.
I think they're extremely beautiful. I just don't know anything about it. I've never been around it, but I have an entirely different outlook.
Right.
When I see a horse from now on, I might just slow her down a little bit and
Right.
just approach it and see,
Right.
what am I radiating?
Right.
What am I, what gifts can that horse give to me, and some clarity. So,
I love the way that you said that. What am I radiating? Like, what is my awareness
right.
about anything that I'm
Yeah.
thinking or feeling?
Yeah.
How
Wow.
does it impact horses,
Right.
others? I
Yeah.
mean, whatever. So,
Well, I've heard many, many people talk about, dogs. They're your best friend. They can sense when you're sad or lonely or happy. They're happy to see you when you come home and things. I don't think I've had the graphic explanation of a horse the way that you did this.
so I've got to tell you a couple examples of how horses, or an example of how horses show up in the coaching arena that's different or hard to describe. But this one you should be able to see. So I had a lady come to me to do a session, and this is several years ago. And she shared this all over Facebook. It was so sweet. But she came to me after a loss of her, I believe it was her biological grandmother, but it was like her mother. She had
Okay.
raised her. And so she came to see the horses and I, and was just looking for clarity, was looking for, how do I move through this world with this loss and all the different things that come with it. And so we were setting up and visiting before we got going with the horses and different things. And before we go into the arena with the horse who's on free liberty, usually her and I, or the client and I, visit outside of the pen before we go in. And there's a few things that I want to go through to keep you safe, right? Because horses are big and different things like that, and all the different things. So it's right before she's about to go in the arena with the horse. And we're standing there talking, and the horse keeps walking past us. Like, imagine this big, long fence, right? The horse is, like, walking past us, and the horse would, like, look at us and cough. Okay? And it kept walking.
Okay.
And then it'd turn around, and it'd get real close to us, and I swear, Sarah, this horse would look at us and go, just cough.
Okay.
And now sometimes horses show up and hold space, and sometimes horses do very interesting things, like look at you and cough. And I know this sounds wild, but you got to hear the rest of the story.
I want
You gotta hear
to hear it.
So the horse, after she had walked by and coughed several times, I finally looked at the gal that was with me, because this isn't my story. This isn't about me interpreting anything. This is about her. And I said, have you noticed what this horse is doing? And she said, yes, I have. And she kind of gave me this look. And I was like, does it remind you of something? Or is it, how are you interpreting this? Or what was your takeaway? And she goes, I didn't want to say anything, and I don't know if I should, but I've got to tell you. She said, my mom, her grandmother who had passed away, who raised me, we always used to play hide and seek. I loved playing hide and seek. My grandma and I would play, and I'd get grandma talked into going and hiding, but I could always find her because she had COPD and she'd be coughing.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God.
Right?
I got goosebumps.
So we didn't know where we were going with the
Oh my
session. We didn't
gosh.
know what we were going to be doing.
Oh my word.
But when that experience happened, it shifted the way we did the work that day about her mother, her grandmother, that dual purpose. It was about remembrance and the funny, sweet things that her mom did, right? And laughing about her grandma hiding in the closet but coughing during all of it, and her playing hide. It was the sweetest thing.
Wow.
Maybe we would have gone there.
Sure.
I don't know.
Right.
That horse never coughed again after she mentioned
Right.
it, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes the horses do things that are hard for me to explain,
Yeah.
that I certainly didn't train them to do.
Right. Right.
That makes sense just to the person that's there to see it.
Oh my gosh.
So they do some really, really cool things.
Wow. You just have to really have an open mind, an open heart to notice everything, everything, every detail.
Every single detail. And that's what it's about, is details. Oh my gosh, I remember one time there was a man there working on a decision around his business, and he was literally, like we talked earlier, going over the yeses and the nos, and he was stepping on this side for yes and stepping on this side for no, and going back and forth, back and forth. And the horse that I was working with at the time, his name was Bart, and he was standing there watching this work, and it was almost like he was sitting there like, come on, come on, come on. And the gentleman just kept saying some things that were extremely limiting about his, like, I can'ts and I could nevers and all this stuff. And Bart walked over to where he was standing and literally pooped. Pooped right there.
Okay.
And I remember the gentleman looked at it and looked at the horse and said, that is a bunch of SHIT, isn't it? I mean, just little things that,
Right.
yes, they're funny, but they're memorable. They make sense for the person that's there. While you're going through hard of choice or grief or life or anxiety or depression, whatever it is, if you can find humor and grace and clarity in it, in whatever way that happens, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they do some cool
You
things.
took me on a path that I never, I mean, I knew we were going to be talking about horses, but I mean, like, oh my, it's like,
There's so much more than you ever knew.
So much more. Wow. Oh my gosh. Anna, I can't, I mean, I knew this was going to be kind of interesting where you come, how you approach, but this took it to a higher level than I ever imagined. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for so much, for your vulnerability back, and walking all the way through here and what created that. And I think so many of us can relate in life. Obviously it was horses, that was your clarity. But so many things in life, we just have to listen.
Right.
And listen and identify, being honest, it was gray for you and it wasn't clear for you until you knew
Right.
and what brought, and then your bravery, to step through those doors. You have an excellent, support system. You really do.
100%.
So, that's wonderful, for you. So I don't know. It's been really, really eye-opening for me today. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
and
this
I
was
super
awesome.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining me on Real Feel Insights.